Yes, ma'am. We are not able to schedule appointments at this time, but I can give you the number to either Montgomery or to Huntsville.
I don't. No, ma'am.
It's a hard time for the family to realize that.
No, ma'am. So if you would like the numbers to Huntsville or either Montgomery, I can
Yes,
give you
ma'am.
those numbers when you're ready.
Yes, ma'am. I understand.
The clinic is sitting idle. I'm not going to say closed because we're not closing, but we are sitting idle and not seeing patients. The possibility of having to shut this clinic will leave 2 independent clinics in the state of Alabama. And I have spoken with both of those clinic owners, and they have expressed to me that there is no way that they could take on the volume that this clinic has seen over the years. The other clinics in Alabama are just a heartbeat away from being in the same position that I'm in today. Closing the clinics is not going to stop abortions. Women are going to have abortions. It's just that they are not going to be safe and legal.
Come on in. Hey, baby. You have an appointment today?
Yeah.
Yeah, never been pregnant, okay. No allergies to medicines? Okay, good. We're going to run your pregnancy test today, and then we're going to do an ultrasound, okay?
There are risks. So, like, just really getting, like, the inflammatory disease.
If I can put it to you this way, we have not had an infection here in 15, 20 years, okay? CDC, look up their information. That's Center for Disease Control in Atlanta. They put a first trimester abortion, okay, as safer than a penicillin shot. Okay? We know you're nervous. Hey, baby. Are you swamped? Well, I was begging your doctor to come help me this week because I just got a phone call from Dalton that Dr. Umorn's in the hospital in London. And, yeah. So we have patients that we saw this morning that were going to come back Thursday that can't come back Thursday. So that the patients from this week are just going to have to reschedule to next week.
And then some of these people are already on the borderline.
Yeah. I guess Dr. Parker.
Lisa's appointment on the 19th, we need to change her date to the 18th. Our doctor was hospitalized.
Please take your name, please. Thank you, ma'am. Ma'am, can you please give us a call back so we can reschedule for Wednesday?
The legislature passed a bill, which they do every single year, and sometimes multiple bills, but they passed a bill that they knew that we could not comply with, or we knew that we could not comply with, and that was the function of the bill. The purpose of the bill is not to regulate us, it is to regulate us out of business. The function is a trap. Reiterating that July 1st of 2014 is the deadline for obtaining our certificate of completion. The final inspection should occur several weeks prior to allow for any corrections and reinspection if needed. This is another letter. That's one letter. We have until July 1st to comply with the new rules and regulations, and if we don't comply, then we're closed down. All sorts of dilemmas today.
Yes, ma'am. Okay. All right. Thank you. Bye-bye. When you're down to one provider, you just pray they don't catch a cold. You just really try to take care of that provider and keep them in good health, because you know that you're one person away from not performing the procedure and possibly closing. The restrictions are affecting women in many states. We are getting patients from all over the South, not only Alabama, but Tennessee and Mississippi and Louisiana and Florida and Georgia as well. We can't afford to lose another owner here in Alabama. They're just basically trying to knock us off one by one. Within the last 5 years, it's a constant thing where it's just, you never get a break. You're going from one battle to the next.
Good evening. In a landmark ruling, the Supreme Court today legalized abortions. The majority in cases from Texas and Georgia said that the decision to end a pregnancy during the first 3 months belongs to the woman and her doctor, not the government. Thus, the anti-abortion laws of 46 states were rendered unconstitutional.
In effect, the court ruled that states may make no laws restricting a doctor's right to decide his patient needs an abortion. Only in the final stages of pregnancy may states intervene and say no to abortion.
In Texas today, Governor Rick Perry signed into law some of the nation's toughest restrictions on abortion.
New information this morning about the abortion laws in Alabama. A committee passed 4 bills that increase the restrictions around abortion.
Mississippi could soon become ground zero in the fight by some on the far right to eliminate abortion within their states.
Always remember that it is our duty to protect those innocent lives that are not being protected right now.
Today you see the first step in a movement, I believe, to do what we campaigned on, to say we're going to try to end abortion in Mississippi.
Opponents say these laws are designed solely to close abortion facilities, but supporters say they make healthcare safer.
Here's our goal, brothers and sisters, to take this enemy on and take him out in Jesus' name.
The pro-life side has won. We've already won.
I really didn't realize I was pregnant for a while because I had 2 periods initially, plus I was on birth control. So there's just a whole lot of surprises when I found out. I was at home, and after I think it was the 2 lines that came up, I read the instructions again, just to make sure 2 lines didn't mean negative. So you know, it means positive. So I started going online and trying to find resources to see what I could do, because I knew I was in the last semester of school. I couldn't, plus I hadn't planned on having another pregnancy. That was the furthest thing from my mind at that point, at 43, to start over. I found out that the clinic in Tuscaloosa was closed temporarily. I called Montgomery, Selma didn't have a clinic at that time. Birmingham, everywhere imaginable. So that's why I did actually look at some of the home methods, but they were more geared towards, I guess, early pregnancy, that people can help themselves miscarriage. But then reading about them, it was scary, like herbs that you can take. And I actually ordered some. I was afraid to take them after I read about them. And people are going to find a way if they're truly determined. I mean, I was on the internet looking for any resource, any option. So just because I talked myself out of trying some of the things that were mentioned doesn't mean other people aren't.
When there are 80,000 lives lost to abortion each year in our state, we know our work is a long way from being over. This session, I'm calling on the legislature to strengthen our ban on that procedure. My goal, and the goal of many of those joining me here today, is to make abortion at any stage a thing of the past.
Democratic State Senator Whitney Davis of Fort Worth is trying to hold out till midnight in a filibuster to block a bill that would set the standard for the strictest abortion laws in the country.
Members, I'm rising on the floor today to humbly give voice to thousands of Texans who have been ignored. This legislation is being done and voted on, look around the room, primarily by men.
If we can have order in the chamber so that the members can properly cast their vote.
Members, it's now past midnight, and so I'm going to look for a motion from Senator Whitmire to sign it down.
Over half the states in the United States right now have TRAP laws. TRAP laws are targeted regulation of abortion providers. These are laws that states pass that they're not a general law that might apply to all doctors in the state or even all OBGYNs in the state. They just zoom in on doctors who provide abortion services, and they're designed to make it hard for them to provide those services. This has become a very disturbing trend because what it means is it's harder for women to get services.
Pretend to be a Christian. When are you going to come back to Christ? Stop killing babies.
Yeah, you know Willie Parker, he goes down to Mississippi twice a month to kill his own race. In Jackson, you know that? He claims to be a Christian. I think he was a Christian. But Christians don't go around killing babies.
There are people who feel like having a faith identity and providing abortion care are mutually exclusive.
I had a very traditional upbringing when it comes to religion. I grew up in the Black Baptist Church. I do think that my commitment to my work, my sense of integrity about it, is rooted in my early Christian and religious understandings. When you have a sense of duty about what you do, it kind of allows you to ignore the naysayers.
All right, we'll use
We use the 7.
Before I was ever born, my maternal grandmother, my mother's mother, died in childbirth, becoming pregnant and giving birth less than a year after her last child had been born, and so she basically hemorrhaged to death. So always in the back of my mind is the fact that all statistics and all policies represent the realities of people that they affect.
I recently made the decision to move home to Birmingham to make sure that there is access to abortion care for women in my home state and home region. The need for access to abortion and reproductive rights is most prominent in the South. So for me, that meant, rather than traveling down south periodically, to relocate.
Want some corn? I was born in Birmingham, and I'd love it because my family's here. There are times that I honestly believe that Alabama feels like a third world country. But for me, it's home. So if I can stay here and make changes here in this state, then that's the reason why I stay here. I do the payroll at the house and all the taxes and all the regular bookkeeping. I actually haven't had a payroll check since September. And because things have been so I'm living off of my income tax refund. Thank goodness I don't file until October. Anytime I'm cited for something, I have to go back to that code. I have to read whatever the particular regulation is. And once I read that regulation, then I'm going to go back and fix whatever needs to be fixed. It says emergency lighting shall be provided in accordance with section 7.9. And there is no 7.9. It's like trying to work your own crossword puzzle. I work crossword puzzles very, very well. I just don't do it when you have to make your own puzzle up. And that's basically what this seems to be asking me to do, which doesn't make a lot of sense, but you know, a lot of this doesn't make a lot of sense.
Are you wanting to do any IV sedation? No? Okay.
She can just decline this, right?
Yeah, you can just decline that.
And if you want to go ahead and have
HB2 happened this last year, which just basically was enough to really crumble the service infrastructure completely by requiring physicians to have active admitting privileges within 30 miles of the clinic, with restricting the dosage and the route of administration for medication abortion. So basically it means that every woman has to come in for 4 different visits with the same physician, with restricting abortion over 20 weeks, and then the pending regulation that's going to require every single abortion, even the abortion pill, to be done in an ambulatory surgical center. The combination of all those things, we're going from 44 clinics where, you know, highly trained physicians were providing abortions in a licensed environment down to 6.
You saw 77 or 77 was scheduled? Holy smokes. 70, oh my God, you're making my hair hurt. 77 was scheduled, you saw 68. So we should schedule 77 this week. How do you feel about adding 18 more slots? Holy smokes, so that's on the 9th. We already have 59 consults scheduled? That's funny. That's huge. We need to open some more up, don't we? I am married and a mom of 6, and so when I'm out of town, I'm leaving my husband at home with 6 children. The clinics now need a lot more attention. There's a lot more to do. There's complying with the law. Someone has to run the clinic and strengthen the clinic. I'm currently away from home in another city, away from my family, away from my children, and it's hard. When I started in abortion care, I had absolutely no idea that there was a fight going on about abortion. I applied for a job at Planned Parenthood of Waco. I'm thinking that I would work there until I found something that I wanted to do. And on my first day there at that job, I was rushed by protesters telling me that I shouldn't work there and that I was a baby killer and I was going to hell. And I think I was bit by the bug from that day forth. If these people were fighting against it, that somebody had to fight for it. Well, now HB2 is in full effect. So our call volume increased tremendously in one day. I mean, we saw our call volume double, if not triple, within a matter of hours, because all of the patients are now getting those calls saying, yes, you had an appointment scheduled today, but unfortunately, I cannot see you today. And so that started the women to call the 6 remaining clinics that were open, but you can only imagine that if you have 500 women to get into 6 clinics, there's a waiting list right now. There's a 2 or 3 week waiting list for women for a procedure where time is of the essence. This is sort of how we juggle what doctors we have that are active, what doctors are going to go to what clinic for coverage, because we are unfortunately flying doctors all over the globe right now to meet session and to cover sessions. In Texas right now, we have 1, 2, 3. We have 3 doctors with privileges. We have 3 doctors with privileges in Texas at this time. Convincing a doctor that does not live in Texas to apply and acquire a Texas license is comical. I don't know any other word for it. How do you talk somebody into something that you're having a hard time believing in?
Reproductive health, may I help you? Okay, baby. Have you already called and got information? Okay, so you know you got to make 2 trips, right, baby? The first one is for counseling, and then you've got to wait the 24 hours. Now, we're doing procedures again next Thursday on the 18th. All right, sweetheart, I have you down for 8 o'clock on Friday morning. As I said, it's going to take about 45 minutes to an hour. We're going to do your pregnancy test, your ultrasound, your lab work, all your paperwork, and of course, it is state mandated, so we'll do everything the state requires. Nobody ever thinks they're going to ever need an abortion, but it's a totally different aspect when you're looking from the inside as opposed to looking from the outside in. I was pregnant at age 19 in December of 1973. I had my college in front of me. I had things to do. I wasn't ready to be a parent. And I have never, ever, ever forgotten that if I had been pregnant in December of 1972, I would have never had a choice. And that scares me.
Captain. Good morning, Doc. How you doing? Well, man. How are you? Fine. You will not hear me complain. You know that. Yeah, because the office 9-1, right? Oh, look, 9-1. You better believe it. You better believe it.
Hey, Doc. How you doing?
Hey, how are you?
doing?
I'm good. Hey, madam. How are you?
I'm wonderful. How you doing?
I'm good.
You look it. You look it.
Good time. Yes, ma'am.
Good morning. I'm going to be taking care of you. I'm Dr. Parker. So you've had your counseling for the procedure, and you had an ultrasound before to determine how far along you are. The state of Alabama requires me to repeat your ultrasound. Do you care about football? Okay. And apparently you care what color your team has on uniform, right? Okay. And your team happens to be doing very well this year. All right, okay. All right. So first you're gonna feel some pressure on your belly. And repeat your ultrasound. I'm Dr. Parker. We have information that the state has compiled in this packet of extra things, other things, information that you can know that might help you with your decision. You can take this if you want, but you don't have to. But I'm obligated by law to offer it to you. I'm required by law to tell you that by having an abortion, it can increase your risk for breast cancer. There's no scientific evidence to support that. Now, the state requires me to tell you that if you were having this procedure, there's the risk of complications. I think that's a good thing to know, the risk. The state requires me to tell you that you can have heavy bleeding that can be life-threatening and can require you to be transferred to the hospital and need a blood transfusion. If you're having bleeding, that can only be controlled with removing your uterus. You'd have to have a hysterectomy and you lose your ability to have babies in the future. Those are all the risks associated, but guess what? Those are the exact same risks that's associated with having a baby. It is to say that you're not taking any extra health risk. So abortion is extremely safe. Alabama has taken a page from the playbook of Mississippi and other states where they chop away piecemeal at reproductive rights. These rules, we know, don't add anything to the safety of women.
Women, you're meant to be treated better than this. Women are meant to be adored, to watch over, and to taken care of by men.
Lena, first thing, baby, I need you to do is just to sign this that says that I'm giving you state booklets. The blue one is like the gentleman out front, okay? I have to hand it to you. I don't like that blue book, but they don't say I can leave it behind. You have to get it. So if you'll sign and date, baby, right there that says you're getting it, okay?
A legislator's going to tell me how to practice medicine? Nobody's asked me what constitutes safe abortion. Nobody's gone to anybody else who has formal training, right? They're not using best practices based on evidence-based approach. They're not using the research that we do to determine what's safe abortion care. They don't want that.
They don't want to hear it. Right.
They don't want that. They're letting politics trump medicine.
We live in a state where people continuously complain about the federal government overreaching, but yet our legislature continues to overreach into the everyday lives of people. Each year, we have new legislation that's attacking women's rights and reproductive rights from different angles. This year, it may be a probing bill. Next year, it may be a bill to close abortion clinics. Next year, it may be a fetal heartbeat bill. It's always something. I think they have anti-choice legislation that's being passed around in southern states. It's kind of like they're trying to see what works here, and then next year another state will get the information and they'll present it at that point. So, of course, I mean, we can pretty much forecast what's coming down the pipe because we can look and see what Mississippi did last year and what Georgia did 2 years ago. And we know we'll eventually see a bill very similar to that.
Next, we'll go to item 108, Chairman of Public Health, Senator Kirby.
Okay, now, gentlemen, what's the real purpose of this bill?
The real purpose is for a person who is performing an abortion to be certified in OBGYN and also have local privileges to a hospital.
And
that's
gentlemen,
the only intent. Now, that's what the bill does.
Gentlemen, you're against Roe v. Wade and its principle and what it stands for. Is that correct?
That's correct.
And this is just another effort by you and certain other members of your party to deny abortion in the state of Mississippi. Isn't that correct?
Well, I can assure you, gentlemen, that my party, as you mentioned, many of us believe that life begins at conception. And so if this bill goes into law and it makes it just a little step harder to get an abortion and save that life, then yes, sir, I think that's a good bill.
I disagree.
For a lot of women, one of the biggest reasons they end up seeking an abortion in the first place is because they can't afford to have another child. Most of our patients already have a child. They're already working poor, either single or married moms, and they're seeking abortion because they know very personally exactly what it takes to bring up a child. It's not like something abstract, it's something they live every day. With each restriction, we see a larger and larger group of women sitting over here who can't do it. I can't come for 2 visits, I can't get 2 days off work, I don't have enough money for a hotel, I can't travel. With the closing of our McAllen office, we're seeing a large spike in women who can't make the journey north to San Antonio.
Our McAllen office had been open in the same spot since the Roe v. Wade decision. And to make the decision to close that clinic was horrible. Women are traveling from hundreds of miles away now, so that means bus tickets, plane tickets, lodging when they get here. There's childcare at home. And many times, especially in the later cases, this can mean 2, maybe 3 visits back to the clinic, which could mean 2 days or 3 days of driving 3 or 4 hours in one direction just to get here. We had a family that came to Austin, and they were coming from a very rural area. The only way that they could afford to get here was to gas up their RV and bring their family in their RV. And they slept in our parking lot for 2 days in that RV with 2 small children.
I'm going to try to keep my hands together because I don't want you guys to see me shaking. I have 2 boys, 13 months apart. The oldest one is in the 3rd grade and the youngest one is autistic. That's my little challenge child. I like to say, it gives me my little challenges, but I love him just the same. I am honestly not emotionally fit is about the best way I can explain it, to take on another child. It's already too much. It's a lot. I've got the oldest one, and we stay reading and writing and doing math and whatever homework he has, I actually have as well. And like I said, working a full-time job and coming home and cook, clean, and picking up behind people, and it's just a lot. And mentally, you know, I feel like I can break at any moment. I'm okay with the decision that I made. I accept the decision that I made. And it's tough because people judge other people a lot. And myself included, I'm not exempt from it, but we all judge each other too much. I just wouldn't want to bring another person on this planet and then know I couldn't give my all to that person.
This is our pre-op area, so all patients at the ASC have to have a pre-op visit. We have to have staff lockers for the staff. Each area in here either has to be separated by a wall or a curtain, so that's something that you won't see in the clinics, or the curtains hanging from the ceiling. One of Whole Woman's Health philosophies is that it's kind of cold, but unfortunately we're having to comply with that. We can't have any freestanding oxygen machines. The suction has to be in the wall, and that is for every bed in pre-op, and then you'll also notice it for every bed in PACU or aftercare. I don't know that we've ever used any of these things in the walls in this clinic ever. This is our pharmacy here, which has to be locked up. The drugs always expire because we never use them. And to replace those drugs, I would say a month, we spend about $1,100 throwing out expired medications and replacing them. Another thing you'll see here that you don't see in the clinics are the linen buckets that we have here. We have to have a linen company come out. We can't use disposables. So usually in a clinic, because it's such a quick procedure, she undresses from the waist down and that's all. Here she has to get completely undressed and into a hospital gown before she can go into the OR. And this is our operating room. And the question we hear from patients all the time is, are you going to cut me? Am I being cut? Because that's what an operation is, you know? You hear that more times than not, unfortunately. This is the same exact building and the same exact setup that you would bring someone who's having open heart surgery. No different. No different. Same exact setup.
Whole Woman's Health is the lead plaintiff in a lawsuit against the state challenging the ambulatory surgical center requirements. At the same time, we're scrambling to try to figure out, is there a way we could stay open? You know, I can't do one without the other. I can't raise money to help people travel by bus for 500 miles round trip without challenging the law at the same time, because the Band-Aid isn't going to work.
There are over 3 dozen cases right now on access to abortion services going through the courts. In the past 3 years, there have been hundreds of restrictions passed, more than in the past decade combined. We are at a moment now that is like the moment in the early 1990s when the Supreme Court considered, in the case of Planned Parenthood versus Casey, whether Roe would be upended altogether. There's no question. In short order, the Supreme Court is going to hear another one of these cases. And when that happens, it's going to be a showdown on, are the constitutional protections that the court has recognized for over 40 years going to be reaffirmed, or is this court going to take a turn? That is what this next Supreme Court case is going to be about.
In our old location, we had to close. I was the only clinic that was a 2-story clinic, so I think that gave the Alabama Department of Public Health a little bit more room to give us a harder time on getting licensed. We had to relocate into a new facility to meet the new healthcare codes. Finding financing to purchase an abortion clinic is next to impossible. I refinanced my property downtown, pulled all the equity out, and then took all the money out of my retirement. So I've spent close to $1 million to meet all of their requirements, and you think you're done, and what are they trying to do? They're trying to pass another bill that said I can't be in 2,000 feet of a school.
The lights are on, and Alabama's Women's Center is back open for business. But pro-choice supporters know this fight is far from over. Anti-abortion activists led by Reverend James Henderson are vowing to continue their fight to shut down the center.
They're treating me, the patients, the physicians, as sex offenders. I mean, I guess I was foolish and I thought that, okay, you know, I've met every requirement they've had. You know, I have a nice facility that they would, you know, leave me alone and move on. But that's not happening. When you provide these services, I mean, this is what you're signing up for. So you're just always on edge constantly.
Are you married?
No.
Do you want to get married?
Yes. But right now I'm married to the work. I'm married to the business. This is not one of these type of things that you can be halfway in and halfway out. If you're going to do it, you have to be committed 100%.
West Alabama Women's Center. Right now, we are referring patients to Huntsville or to Montgomery. I can give you either or both of those numbers if you would like.
This has been a long, difficult 7 months. And to hear the phones ringing and us not being able to help these women is very disheartening.
Hello, how you doing? Good to see you.
You too.
How's everything going? I had plans to go ahead and practice until 2018 or 2019. 2018 would have been my 50th year in practice, and it was kind of a goal. In 2019, I would be 80. But early in 2014, we were almost the only provider in the state, and it got much more of a grind on me. There were a lot of days we'd be in the clinic for 12 hours. And after about 3 months of that, I just said, this end of this year is going to be it. Glory was able to recruit this other physician who had outstanding credentials. When I left, it would appear that everything was going to be taken care of, be a smooth transition, and the clinic would not be down at all, but it did not really turn out that way.
Given that abortion at all stages is an extremely safe procedure, even if I were able to secure hospital admitting privileges, I would not be able to admit enough people to keep the privileges that I was able to secure.
When Dr. Parker first applied for his privileges, one of the groups told him, I will in no way support you because we do not believe in what you're doing. The other group, one of the OBGYNs, is the director for Save a Life, and Dr. Parker's application goes before this board for approval.
Hey. How's it going? How you guys today? Good.
Morning.
Good morning, madam. How are you? I'm good. You always like to push the envelope, don't you?
I always do. I mean, it's nothing but the truth there.
May the fetus you save turn out to be a gay abortion provider. You're sweet as pie, but you got a raisin in your mouth if you need it to be.
I guess I'm not your typical Southern lady. I'm a very strong woman, and I feel that that's how we have to be to survive in today's world. I'm not well liked by the religious rights because I speak out for my son's rights, and he's gay. I speak out for women's rights on abortion issues. I will continue to do that as long as the need is there. Throughout the time that I have been closed, I have set several dates that if I'm not open by a certain date, I will close the clinic. When that date arrived, my heart wouldn't let me do it.
So it's difficult to say at what point I will have to shut down. Right now, that date is August the 4th. I have the support of the other clinics. Dalton and Huntsville, June and Montgomery is very supportive of me. And that's what's so wonderful about the three of us working together as the only 3 independent providers left in Alabama.
I spoke with our attorney, okay, and then I spoke back with the intake officer, and then I spoke with the intake officer's supervisor, okay. What they're going to try to do is to see if they can bring in another judge, okay. So I want you to come back over here to my office. I know you don't want to come back here, but come back over here to my office, just sit up front, watch TV, drink a soda until he calls me back. Yeah, hang on just a second, sweetheart, hang on. This is June, may I help you? Yes. She's on the other line with me now. And she said they told her they had never even heard of a judicial bypass.
You know, we had a large volume of judicial waivers in Tuscaloosa. One of the pro-life attorneys in Jefferson County helped write these laws and has a lot of contacts. And they do have the right to appoint an attorney for the fetus.
Right, but now they're saying, no, that they're not even going to let her do paperwork today. That's my frustration. Yes.
They do not have the right to refuse this patient to sign that form. She is there to sign it. Their courts are open. She signs it. Whether there's a judge there or not, that's not our problem.
So let them sign the paperwork while they're here today.
So it's a very unfair process, and what the courts think is just because they're the courts, they can do what they want. And you really have to educate them on what the law is and insist that they follow the law.
Okay, bye. So, does this look like the face of frustration?
Alabama Supreme Court Chief Justice Roy Moore made several stops in North Alabama today as he campaigns for election to his old seat.
I'm not here as a politician. I'm not here as a religious leader. I'm not a minister. I have been a judge, sworn to uphold the Constitution of the United States.
Moore says it is time for the church to take back ground in politics, to stand up for religious freedom and return Christianity to one nation under God.
Oh my God, every time I hear it, I heard you show it to the girls today and I just...
You know, let them lie to you and tell you that the murder of your baby is okay, that it's just a glob of tissue. My friends, it is a baby.
Come on in. Hey, darling, you have an appointment today?
After conception, your child's heart is beating. Please, I just watched the man come out.
And if you'll sign and date, baby, right there. Each morning at 8 o'clock, I sprinkle the grass, and the picketers have to that means they have to move up and down the sidewalk. There's one sprinkler head, which just, goes back and forth. But at any time that, I feel the grass is getting a little bit dry, then we also have a remote control. And the remote control runs the sprinkler from here so that if it looks like that, it might be getting just a little bit dry out there, then we can at any point turn the water on.
Yes, God. Hallelujah.
you, God. Hallelujah. Jesus. Jesus. Thank you, God. Thank you, God. Jesus. Jesus.
Dear Lord, we thank you for this food. Bless the hands of the prayer and Lord, we just thank you for the fellowship and pray.
Amen. I've wanted to talk to church and say, you know what? 1 in 3 women have an abortion in their lifetime. Majority of congregations, particularly in the Black community, are women. So there are women there all the time who've made this decision. And you got ministers from the pulpit saying how wrong it is. And where's the love, where's the compassion, where's the ministry to these women?
No woman have ever told me that she feel it's all right to have an abortion. I said, but they have told me that this is the only decision I can make at this time. So hey, it's not up to me to, question them, but it is up to me to encourage them that this decision don't have to destroy you. Right.
How you doing? So why are you crying?
I got through everything else. I got through my mama dying.
Well, you know what? I'm saying God that got you through all everything else you've been through. He haven't left you yet. He's still there. Father God, in the name of Jesus, Father God, give her peace, God. Father God, meet her, God, where she is. Father God, let her fully understand that you are God and beside you there is no other. Father God, and we just praise and magnify you because, Father God, of course, she can have peace that passeth all understanding. And for that, God, we do say thank you. These and all blessings and blessings in your Son, Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen.
It's not an easy thing to do, but just like my grandma said, I called her crying and told her, she was just like, I won't be the first to have an abortion, and I won't be the last. She didn't want to put too much input in because deciding to have a child and not having a child, that has to be my decision. I have to be able to sleep at night and pray to my God about it. I want to go to heaven. I want to see my mama again. I want to have healthy, beautiful children one day. I want to have a nice, loving husband. Those are all things that I think about. It's like, well, what if I never have a little girl? Or what if I don't get married? Or what if this happens? Or what if that happens? All because I had an abortion and that's my payback. I have a hard time forgiving people who are close to me, and I'm just having a really hard, an even harder time forgiving myself because I feel like I let me down. But I know it's gonna get better.
Come on in. Hi. Pretty much.
Hello.
Hey.
How are you?
We have muffins, pastries, casserole, biscuits, and obviously y'all brought food.
Leah said you heard that we had 2 people coming from
Legislators?
No, from Operation Save America. They were supposed to be in today, waiting through Sunday because they're scouting. And they're coming in for a week. Yeah. So she called the police department and the Capitol Security to make sure that they beefed up security and so forth.
Now this is a known
terrorist
group. These people are people who are criminals with criminal backgrounds. It's one of those things that's kind of like waiting for the tornado to hit, okay?
Yeah.
You know the bad weather's out there. You know it's moving in your direction. And, you know, when does it blow up?
Are
Now,
you
the
planning
only-
on seeing patients during this time?
I'm going to see patients. I don't know if we're going to do procedures during that time. We may do it the week before and the week after. The problem would be, part of me wants so bad to be able to say, you know, we saw patients this week, we did abortions this week, but part of me hates the spectacle and the shaming and the fear and the terror these people impose on women.
But there's something about empowering these folk by scheduling around them. There's something that just doesn't sit in my gut about that.
And if they do close me down, then they win.
Right. That's how I feel.
Then they win.
Right.
And nothing makes me angrier than that.
Thy kingdom come.
Yes, sir.
Thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Amen?
Amen.
How many know we have the assurance right now there's no babies being murdered in heaven? How many know that? Can I get an amen? I give you Chief Justice Roy Moore.
We've forgotten what this country is about. Indeed, I think the United States Supreme Court has forgotten what this country is about, because if they hadn't, they wouldn't be trying to create rights that are not in the Constitution. Dignity is given to God, not government. Well, I'm sorry, but this country was not founded on Muhammad. It was not founded on Buddha. It was not founded on secular humanism. This country was founded upon God. And anybody that wants to argue that proposition argues against the whole history of our country and our birth certificate.
It's not supposed to be on the grass. It should be like this. That's what the police have instructed us to do.
People have been killed doing this work, and I don't wear a vest because a vest doesn't provide me with any greater sense of safety. If I spend time processing what can happen to me, I will lose the courage to do what I know is the right thing to do.
Our Father who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. Lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the power and the glory forever and ever. Amen.
Let me. Thank you for being here.
Sure. Thank you for having me.
Jesus Christ loved you. He loved the baby. He loved the murderer. But you don't like what you're doing. Jesus Christ saved. To the utmost. Jesus Christ saved.
Now must live the rest of your days in the choice that caused one to die. The Bible says, what would it profit a man to gain the whole world but lose his own soul. Whatever you can possibly profit from killing these babies is not going to be worth spending eternity in hell.
What sickens me is that you're a black man and that you're having black women go in there and destroying black lives. All black lives matter. All black lives matter. All lives matter.
Are you?
Oh, fine.
All right. Okay.
I wanted to let you know today, you know how much I love you.
Yeah, I know that, but I never get tired of you validating that over and over and over again.
But I just wanted to, we're so happy to have you back after a nice break in today of all days.
This first patient is a 14-year-old who was gang raped by 3 guys and a girl. And she is now 12 weeks pregnant. And she's never had a pelvic exam before. We don't have any narcotics or any other sedatives to give her. So the only real sedative I have to offer her is by gaining her trust and reassuring her that we're going to take good care of her. The reason I'm doing this now is so I can even see if you can tolerate the procedure. If you can't tolerate this, we can't do it. I'm not going to hurt you, but I know you're scared, and I know you don't want to be here. But that's why I'm doing this first, so that when we do it the next time, you'll already know what to expect.
At this point, I was uncertain what I was going to do. But my only option to keeping the clinic open was to sue the Alabama Department of Public Health. That was not something I wanted to do. I had always had good working relations with the Alabama Department of Public Health, and I was concerned about destroying those relationships. Even if I won the lawsuit, I was concerned about that. It was a big decision for me. I lost many nights of sleep trying to decide if this is the way that I wanted to go forward. I just feel like that I have to know within myself that I have done everything I could possibly do to keep that clinic open. And if I do that, then I feel like I can have the peace of knowing that there was nothing else I could do.
We didn't want a lawsuit, but we're also not afraid to do all that we can on behalf of women.
Exactly. At least one way or the other, we will know shortly.
Good morning. And welcome to the July staff meeting. Since last July, we've had to file 7 new cases in the United States, 4 in the last month of June. So it is escalating what is happening across the United States. And we've gotten to the point now that we are on the verge of the Supreme Court taking one of these cases.
what happens? Do you have to contact Marva or any of the administrators when there's a minor involved? One second. Marva.
It's a 13-year-old rape victim that's 20 weeks. They should always call about a 13-year-old rape victim that is 20 weeks pregnant. There's special things need to be done for her.
Looks like Shayla made an appointment for a 13-year-old minor today in San Antonio coming from McAllen.
We had a 13-year-old who was referred to us from McAllen, and she is right at the cusp. She's 20 weeks and 5 days today. And in order to see her, I need to put her to sleep. And in order to do that, I need a nurse anesthetist. And because of this crazy law, it is impossible to find people to work for us. People know that our work environment is unstable. And so now I'm down to one lone certified nurse anesthetist, and I'm basically held hostage by her schedule. And if she can't be there, I can't see patients. And unfortunately, we have to turn this young girl away because I don't have anybody to put her to sleep. And she's 13 years old, and she is a victim of rape, and she drove 4 hours from McAllen to San Antonio, and we had to turn her away. And there was nothing I could do to save her. And so now, if she has a procedure, and that if is huge, she'll have to go all the way to New Mexico and pay $5,000 and get there and spend 3 days. It'll never happen. We know it won't. In those cases, I feel like it's an automatic sentence to parenthood. We sentence her to motherhood because what are the odds of her making that trip? It's not likely.
It reminded me of you.
Now this is for my tux, but I tie my own. This is a pre-tie, and I only do pre-tie with my tux.
You look like a distinguished gentleman, yes. After 35 years, my friends are telling me it's time to retire, and I'm telling them, no, I'm not going to give up this fight. And if it turns into a fight, it turns into a fight. But I will be here and continue to the best of my ability to make sure that we provide safe and legal abortions for the women in this state. This is just another bump in the road.
I was in Starbucks and the attorney called me and the Department of Public Health decided we're not going to fight this lawsuit. I was ecstatic. Number 32. Okay, exam room 1 on your left, hon. You know, we never know when another clinic is going to be faced with exactly the same thing. My hopes is that the Supreme Court will define what an undue burden is rather than just putting a Band-Aid on the Texas situation, so that it will make it clear to all of the states what an undue burden for a woman would be.
10 days ago, we filed for a stay of the U.S. Court of Appeals decision, which would allow the Texas law to go into effect and would close all but 8 or 9 clinics in the state. So we're just hoping and hoping every day that we get an order from the Supreme Court. It's very much sitting on pins and needles while we try to figure out what's happening.
We don't know if it's our last day, actually. We are waiting anxiously to hear from the Supreme Court.
So, Rachel, Supreme Court, they could say, we don't want to hear the case at all, and then what is, right? If they say that, what is, if they decide they don't want to hear the case at all. Or they could say, we'll hear the case, and while we're listening and reading over the information, there's an injunction, so you guys go forth and keep doing procedures. Or they could say, we're going to look at it and go over it, and while we're looking at it and going over it, the law stands and don't do anything.
Right.
So it could be a catch-22. The worst thing could be for them not to say anything.
I tell you, I stopped following that.
I do too.
Because it would make too much anxiety.
Me too. Yeah. It's too much. It was hard last night to think that this could be the last day I'm here. I couldn't sleep. I picked these cabinets out, dog. You know what I mean? It was really hard to think that I worked so hard to make this place beautiful for these women who deserve it, and they're gonna snatch it from me. They're gonna take it from me. Let's see what happens. I'm sorry.
Calm down.
What's going on?
I just got a text saying the stay came in. Okay, calm down.
Okay,
I didn't get a call or anything. Who did you get a text from?
My people are with the lawyers.
Wait, hold on. Wait, hold on. I'm just going to English, guys. Wait a minute. Wait, guys, what's going on? Yes. What happened?
Good.
How do you know?
We gotta stay.
We gotta stay?
We gotta stay.
We gotta stay? How do you know?
We're doing this. That's such good news. But I'm not as happy as you guys are. Because I keep thinking they're just going to push it off and push it off. But
it just gives us
a little more time. Oh my God. We're sure.
To be at this moment in the United States where something that was so hard won is now up for grabs again. It is undescribable. In the end of the day, constitutional decisions are about all of us. What it means to be human and to live in a free society is that each of us gets to make these decisions for ourselves.
I am hoping that what we're seeing right now is the darkest night, which will bring the brightest tomorrow.
The compassion that comes out of my Christian understanding is what has propelled me into action to do this work. I'll be doing this for as long as I can muster up the energy to advocate for what I think is the right thing.
I want women to talk to each other. I want women to quit shaming each other. I want people to quit shaming women over abortion, period. The balance of what happens with Roe versus Wade is in the sway of the courts right now.
Fundamentally, we have to challenge the mindset that allowed these laws to pass in the first place. And I wonder how long it's going to take for people to see the outcome of our action, or more importantly, our inaction.
I have a daughter, and sorry, I want her to have a choice. I want her to have a choice. That keeps me going.
Independent Lens continues with some perspectives about faith and women's health.
I've always looked at the South as what I call the Bible Belt. Birmingham was the belt buckle. So I grew up with a very traditional religious understanding.
Let's give a warm welcome to Dr. Willie Parker.
I had to reconcile my Christian understanding with my choice of being a women's health provider. And I wrestled with that for a long time. I have not been able to sit by idly and watch women denied their human or reproductive rights. I don't do my work outside of Christianity. I do the work in the context of my Christianity.
Talk to me just for a second. My name is Tanya. I'm a registered nurse.
I'm the media spokesperson for Pro-Life Mississippi.
I can tell you how abortion is going to hurt you. You'll never be the same again.
I feel like there will be so many more women set free in our state. That's why we've got to be the first state that's abortion-free.
God's court is thou shalt not murder. Abortion is murder.
There are people who question my Christianity in a region of the country that's extremely religious. I'm a scientist. I'm a Christian. So the part of them that is Christian resonates with me deeply. Even though we disagree or we're led to different conclusions, I can respect their reservations about abortion. I want them to feel my humanity and to feel the humanity of the women who make the decisions to end pregnancies.
I'm Dr. Beverly McMillan, a retired OB/GYN physician. I'm here to pray that someone changes their mind. You know, we don't have to overturn Roe v. Wade. All we have to do is change people's mind and hearts about abortion.
Forward together. Not one step back.
My fears are that politics will trump medicine and then we will get more of these rules. When we know we're doing the right thing and we know we're on the right road, we simply have to plan. We have to account for the world as we want it to be, and we have to account for it as it is, and we have to work to close the gap between the two.